Hier in der Memory Zone, einem neuen Inhalt von Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, huldigt man den Spielerezensionen der ersten Veröffentlichung. Hier zum Beispiel an die Wand gehängt, die 9 von 10 von GameSpot. Ja, wunderbar. Und viele kleine andere Details. Weiter vorne ist die 10 von 10 von Destructoid.com. Ich weiß nicht, ob wir da nochmal hin können. Sieht ziemlich zu aus. Komme ich jetzt da runter? Tatsächlich.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Oh, jetzt kommt der dunkle Teil.
What's this? What's down here?
Die Steam-Rezension.
Oh, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews
Oh
from
nein.
Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Jetzt kommen die
Surely these
schlechten
reviews were glowing
Bewertungen.
as well, weren't they?
Oh nein. Okay. Nicht empfohlen.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Einfach so Container, so in Massen weggestapelt. Die unwichtigen Bewertungen, nachdem die guten gehuldigt wurden mit Kerzen und so. Ja, auf Steam kann halt jeder seine Meinung abgeben und muss nicht mal qualifiziert sein. Das ist natürlich ganz richtig. Ja, das Logo passt nicht. Dabei spiele ich die Steam-Version. Warum ist das Wetter auf einmal umgeschlagen? Es ist, glaube ich, kein Wort.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Doch. Jetzt fängt er an zu zweifeln. Ihr verdammten Steam-Reviewer, ihr seid schuld.
What's this one got to say?
Spielt aber 10 Stunden, ne?
Doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Und da ist jetzt der Skip-Button drin. Ich bin wohl schon in der geladenen Fläche. Da ist er. Der Skip-Button.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly...
Also er will, dass wir das drücken, ne? Ich verstehe das schon. Aber ich bin so neugierig, was für ein Text noch kommt, was er labert. Aber achten wir so ein bisschen auf die Uhrzeit, ob die sich verändert. Wenn ich gleich auf den Skip-Button drücke, dann achtet ihr auf die Uhrzeit. Ja, weiß nicht.
10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably...
Jetzt wiederholt sich, oder?
All until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made in fact make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial, something along the lines of, "This game is the best game." Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Er ist fertig. Ich brauche den Skip-Button gar nicht. Ha. Aber ja.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Was?
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've always been doing? Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year.
Nach einem Jahr habe ich den Überblick verloren.
For one entire year. Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
Alter, mal die Klappe! Oh je. Wie lange? Die Uhr ist kaputt, die Blume ist tot. Wie lange? Ich gucke immer, ob da hinten was passiert. Bisher passiert da nichts, aber muss ja einen Grund geben, warum man da hinlaufen kann. Leute. Oh Gott, ich glaube, er ist tot! Wie viele Jahre waren wir weg? Ach, der Rauchmelder will die Batterien gewechselt haben. Na, die piepen ja nur so ein bisschen dann. Oh nein. Also wenn der Timeskip immer, ich sag mal, proportional steigt und immer größere Zeitabstände anbietet. Oder darstellt. Vor allem die Uhr ist runtergefallen. Der Nagel hat einfach nicht mehr gehalten oder so.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires. Every single thing demanded by...
Er hat uns nicht mal bemerkt, ne? Also wenn jetzt schon das letzte Mal sehr viele Jahre vergangen sind, es sind diesmal Jahrzehnte vergangen, er hat sich ja zweimal nicht gemeldet. Und, weiß nicht, er driftet ab in Selbstgespräche und er hat genug Zeit, sich zu befassen und über all das nochmal nachzudenken. Aber jetzt ist er wieder still. Vielleicht schläft er einfach nur.
The end is never the end, 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 is never.
Oh Gott, der Ärmste. Huch. Es ist undicht geworden. Vor allen Dingen, ja, wir waren ja direkt vor einem See oder vielleicht sogar beim Ozean. Nicht, dass das... Aber würden nicht irgendwann auch die Blätter verschwinden? Sich zersetzen? Uah! Hat was von Portal, auf jeden Fall. Jetzt kann ich schneller hier hinten gucken. Ach du Scheiße. Aber wie lange dauert das denn, bis es einfach so zerfällt? Das sind ja Jahrhunderte. Ich habe Angst. Das ist ein bisschen der Film Die Zeitmaschine von 1960. Wo er sich einfach denkt, an Ort und Stelle, gut, ich warte jetzt hier mal ein paar Millionen Jahre und guck mir das an. Im Fast-Forward-Stil. Ja, immerhin. Ich dachte halt, die Überschwemmung hätte das Ding hier überschwemmt. Und deswegen träufelt es hier rein. Und das wäre ein Problem. Aber anscheinend nicht. Erzähler? Ich vermisse ihn langsam. Wo ist er denn? Na, haha. Mensch. Wisst ihr, die Natur holt sich ja alles zurück, ne? Kirby und das vergessene Land hier am Start. Aber wir sind in einem isolierten Raum gewesen, bis die Natur ja hierher kommt. Na, immerhin. Gott, was wird aus der Menschheit passiert sein? Wir fragen uns schon länger... schöne Texturen. Wir fragen uns schon länger, was mit den Menschen los ist, aber jetzt finden wir die erst recht nicht. Ich sehe nur einen Weg, das herauszufinden. Oh nein! Wo sind die Blumen? Oh, da waren die Menschen. Irgend so ein Atomkrieg mal wieder. Man kennt's. Warum gehen die Pflanzen denn jetzt kaputt? Das Klima hat sich komplett verändert. Ach du Scheiße! Bisschen Angst, wo das hinführt. Warum geht der Raum nicht weiter kaputt? Ich will raus. Aber wenn jedes Mal... Jetzt wird's creepy. Jetzt kommt ein Horror-Game raus. Einfach im Void gefangen. Ach du Scheiße. Wie lange waren wir in diesem Raum? Er ist kaputt. Hier war ein Ozean. Aber Millionen von Jahren später ist die Erde nur noch ein Wüstenplanet. Ich sollte nicht lachen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ist das der letzte Part, Leute? New Content.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Also das fand ich richtig genial mit dem Skip. Also sowohl die Rezensionsgeschichten, als auch die schlechten Rezensionen, als auch die, den Skip-Button. Fand ich sehr schön gemacht.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh, ich stand falsch rum. Ja, natürlich. Leute, da ist es. Der zweite Teil.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
The end is never the end. Again! Ja, du kannst keinen zweiten Teil zu so einem Spiel machen, ist ja logisch, ne? Also das haben die Entwickler wahrscheinlich erkannt, die hätten wahrscheinlich gerne, aber das wird dann nicht so enden. Und deswegen mussten sie die Ultra-Deluxe-Version machen, wo sie einen zweiten Teil auf die Schippe nehmen. Das ist...
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Potential. Das ist ein Statement. Ich meine, ich finde Ultra Deluxe auch einen blöden Namen, wenn ich ehrlich bin. Aber ich verstehe, Leute, ich verstehe alles. Sie sind zurück. 2 Türen. Das ist der Witz, ne? Das ist der Witz. Neuer Content ist out. Neuer Content Teil 2 ist in. Überall die 2. Die Farbe rot. Ja, ja, ja. Wie so verschiedene Logos entwerfen. Ich meine, das hat ja auch jemand wirklich entworfen. Finde ich schön. Aber ich mag das eigentlich auch. Hat was. Das hat so ein bisschen Resident Evil Vibes. Aber ja, das passt schon sehr gut zum Spiel. Ja, das hätte ich gesagt. Das passt. Der Farn! Sie haben doch gesagt, der Farn wird irgendwann noch richtig wichtig. Hat einfach 2 Stanleys, wie wär's denn damit? Jetzt wird mir alles klar.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Oh nein. Aber kreativ sind sie. Also sowohl in-game als auch, ne? Ihr wisst schon, wie ich es meine. Liebe Investoren, hier geht's zum Showfloor. Ein kleines Kino, das den neuen Content zeigt. New Features. So wie Springen vielleicht? Ach du liebes Lieschen, jetzt habe ich ein bisschen Angst. Wunderbar.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merch! I saw the new content! Also das T-Shirt würde ich mir wirklich kaufen. The end is never the end again. Damit könnte ich auf der Gamescom rumlaufen. Und das ist auch ein Statement. Also du kannst wirklich das... Ich könnte das wirklich kaufen und tragen. Ich würde es nehmen. Alter. Der QR-Code muss auch irgendwas bedeuten, ich habe Angst. Der Button, der den Namen sagt, des Spielers, der das Spiel spielt. Höre deinen Namen im Spiel. Genieße die Fortsetzung.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Und woher wollen die das wissen? Der Knopf, der den Namen sagt, des Spielers, der das Spiel spielt.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling... Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Jim. See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, oh, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away. Jim.
Ich fand den Button cool. Ja, das Spiel ist halt noch nicht fertig, ne? Das verstehe ich voll und ganz. Eine frühe Beta und so. Tschüss, Jim.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
You heard Jim in the game. Das stand vorher nicht da. Der stand vorher nicht da. Oh nein, oh nein. Bitte keine Screenshots. Da, oh, der exklusive neue Content von Steam. Von Stanley Parable 2. Ich bin noch geschädigt. Komplett neues Büro. Was ist das für ein Boden? Das ist vom Spiel, ne? Dieser Handy-Sound. Ich hatte das früher immer im Ohr. Und immer, wenn ich eine SMS bekam... Ja, wir reden von einer Zeit vor WhatsApp. Das Baby ist jetzt erwachsen geworden. Bankrupt. Ja. Rot ist das neue Orange. Ist alles rot jetzt. Und das ist Platz 999. So viele gibt es jetzt. Der neue, geupdatete, Ray-Traced, also mehr von demselben, aber es ist besser, weil es ist ein Sequel und neue Features, neuer Content, neue Ideen. Der Reference Bucket. Der Knopf, der den Namen des Spielers nennt, der das Spiel spielt. Sprungkreis, unendliches Loch. Lauf nicht. Auch sehr schön. Taste the Sequel. Alter. Das ist wie damals. Also sowas in der Art gibt's ja wirklich, ne? Ich hatte das bei dem Nintendo Switch Event. Auch eine große Halle. Die war halt gefüllt. Und überall gab's neuen Stoff. Das war witzig. Aber das hier natürlich super extravagant für Millionäre. Ist ja ganz klar. Ach Leute, ich würde sagen, das gucken wir uns in aller Herrgottsruhe im nächsten Part an. Den Gym hatten wir schon und es ist verrückt, wie viel weiterer Content hier ist. Ich hatte keine Ahnung. Ey Leute, macht's gut, haut rein, es ist Daumen oben, werde ich euch loben und das ganz besonders, wenn ihr Gym heißt. Bis dann und Gym.